painfully. There are truths about growing up that no one prepares you for, not because they're hidden, but because they can't be wrapped in words. But how do you articulate the hollow sting of being surrounded yet unseen? The deep, splintering ache of realizing that your softness makes people uncomfortable, that your honesty clears the room. Where there are days I walk through halls feeling like a ghost in my own life, not real to anyone. I learned to wear versions of myself, like armor, not to deceive, but to survive. But I've come to believe that pain is not a detour on the path, but to becoming. It is the forge, the place where the rawest parts of us are scorched, shaped, and made unbreakable. A night is not born in celebration. A night is born in the tension between being misunderstood and still choosing to understand. Between being hurt and still choosing to heal others. Between the desire to disappear and the deeper desire to mean something, to someone, to yourself. There was a time, not so long ago, when the days felt drained of meaning and the nights bled into each other like ink on wet paper. I found myself in a place that seemed allergic to gentleness, allergic to curiosity, and most importantly, allergic to me. I tried to shrink and to bend, to change pieces of myself just to belong. But no matter how small I became, it was never enough. Because when you carry a light in a world that worships shadows, you will become a threat. And still I stayed lit, even when it hurt, even when it would have been easier to go dim. Because I've learned that light was never meant to be comfortable. It was never meant to ask for permission. It was meant to cut through, to expose, to demand, to be seen by those even who refuse to look, especially by those who refuse to look. And so I stayed lit, quiet, unapologetically, even when I was alone, even when I doubted if it made a difference. That was my armor. The world romanticizes knighthood. It imagines polished silver, grand quest, and noble steeds. But the real knighthood is much quieter. It looks like waking up when you don't want to give up. It looks like choosing kindness in the face of cruelty. It looks like refusing to shrink in a room that demands your silence. Knighthood is choosing your values again and again, even when the world asks you to compromise. And on this path, there have been guides. There were those who taught me to trust the shape of my own thoughts, not to dress them up in what was pleasing, but to strip them bare, to get beneath the performance, the polish, the instinct to please. They taught me that vulnerability is not a fracture. It is the vein that carries the lifeblood of truth. That writing, speaking, being shouldn't always be safe. It should be real, even when it trembles, even when it risks being understood. And there are those that raised me, not just in years, but in character. My fiercest companions, the most relentless teachers, thank you for raising me like a knight, for demanding effort. Those who listened when I read my poetry, who saw the fire behind my words, and did not just make the smoke, thank you. You gave me the space to be. And to those who thought to dim my light, to cast shadows over my steps, thank you, sincerely. You did everything you could to make me question myself. You turned your backs, twisted your words, and watched me flinch for a sport. You mistook cruelty for cleverness, apathy for power. You made me feel like I didn't belong, like I had to earn basic decency. But in that empty space you left behind, I found something much deeper. I found truth. I found clarity. You taught me exactly who I never want to be, someone who leads with ego, who lacks courage to be kind. You showed me what it looks like to live without a backbone, to fear softness, to hide behind bravado. And I saw right through it. Your bitterness was a mirror, and I walked away. I didn't become you, I became better than you. Not in spite of you, but because you gave me the sharpest lesson of all, what it means to have character. So thank you for revealing yourself so clearly and freeing me from ever wanting your approval. This knighthood isn't glory, it's grit, it's grace, it's choosing to be noble when no one is watching. I think, maybe, life isn't a path at all. It's a labyrinth, full of turns that make no sense until you look back, full of monsters who wear faces of your classmates, or doubt, or fear, but also full of miracles, like someone believing in you when you can't. And here I stand, not at the end, but at another curve in the maze, the threshold, the place where you don't know what comes next, but you go anyway. I go shaped with armor, by experience, by love, by solitude, and by fire. I carry with me the hard-earned truth that kindness is radical, that thoughtfulness is strength, and that being different is not something to survive, it is something to protect. There will be places that ask me to be less, but I will not trade my soul for belonging. I will not trade my light for approval, because I know now, the night does not serve a crowd, it serves the quest.